The 2024 tennis season has come to an end and one name is on everyone's lips. It's Jannik Sinner. A year that not only tested him, but also established his dominance in the ATP circuit. 2 Grand Slam victories and 5 ATP Tour titles. This weekend, he notched up the season-ending ATP Finals title, swept aside Taylor Fritz in that final, and he did so without dropping a set. Not only was that the 8th title he managed to snag this year, Sinner also made history by becoming the first Italian to win the tournament. But he isn't dwelling on those achievements.
I'm not looking about being the first, whatever. It's just stats. What I'm what's now written. But me always try to improve as a player and then trying to understand what I can do better. And this week was something where I always felt the ball very good, and even in practice sessions it was very smooth going, and the connection with the crowd was very nice. So let's see what's coming next year. It's the future nobody can predict.
He mentions the connection with the crowd, and yes, that certainly was one of the highlights. The entire tournament was for little more than a week in the Italian city of Turin. So Sinner did have that home advantage when he played Taylor Fritz in the final last evening. The spectators took it up many notches. The Inalpi Arena, in fact, transformed into a sea of orange. Fans turned up in orange wigs, orange hats, jackets, you name it, with some even munching carrots. All of it, of course, a tribute to Sinner's hair.
Yeah, for sure it was a very high quality week, starting from the beginning, trying to understand the pace of the court, which then increased a little bit, which is normal because it was a bit more consumed, and I just tried to play the best possible tennis I could in every single moment, which I've done here, and then the crowd helped me a lot. So it was for sure one of the most special weeks I've had in a tennis court. So I'm very happy to have this trophy.
So what's worked for Sinner? It's his quiet, reserved persona, which is quite the contrast to his explosive tennis on court. He carries a sense of calm in him, no flashy declarations, no pressure-filled goals. He forgets all that hype and focuses on the tennis. Sinner isn't loud or brash, and that's probably what makes him so much more striking.
I mean, it's my goal was to understand what I can achieve. No, this year there was no specific goal of winning a Grand Slam or being number one or whatever, and it's gonna be the same next year. I mean, it's whatever we can catch, we take, and then the rest we learn. And I think that was the mentality we approached this whole year, and trying to to raise my level in specific moments, which I've done throughout this year. And
yeah, he says he raised his performance in those specific moments, and it's been that kind of a year for him. Extraordinary, to say the least. He started the year as world number 4, but on the 10th of June, he zoomed into history books. He became the first Italian to achieve the number 1 ranking in ATP's history. By clinching the ATP Finals trophy in Turin, 5 straight wins, he took home a staggering $4.8 million. The biggest champion's prize money in the history of the tour. Sinner's victory over Fritz also saw his final win tally go up to 70 out of 76 matches. He, in fact, this year, as win percentage against top 10 opponents surged. Entering 2024, Sinner was 22-27 against top 10 players. After his win over Fritz, he's 17-5 for the season, a 77.3 win percentage ending this year. Sinner's biggest tool, of course, clearly has been his consistency. As you can see, he's been able to score big wins over top-ranked opponents, basically holding his nerves and staying cool in the major moments, like he mentions just a while back, and especially against quality players. That's a trait that's made him trump over rivals like Carlos Alcaraz, who's had a topsy-turvy year himself. But it hasn't been all smooth sailing for Sinner. Mid-season, he faced doping allegations. He tested positive not once but twice for a banned substance, closterbol. Sinner maintained it was accidental contamination, and he was cleared of any wrongdoing by the ITIA. This decision, of course, faced a lot of flack because many other players on the circuit criticized this move of letting Sinner off the hook, and there was severe backlash that Sinner himself faced from all possible quarters. But he put his head down and shut the noise out, making sure his racket did all the talking. Some maturity about his head and an emotional strength that matches all of his prowess on the tennis courts. But this doping controversy is far from over. The World Anti-Doping Agency appealed the decision in September, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport, the CAS that is sitting in on the matter. They're yet to issue a final verdict, which they will sometime early next year is what we hear. Now, a decision averse to the one that ITIA has given could mean a ban for Sinner for a period up to 2 years. That could come as a big blow, especially when he's at the cusp that he's showing. But as Sinner has displayed, he's taking it one day at a time, one match at a time. He's managed to ride out a bit of a stormy up and down 2024 and will look to continue with that very same fervor come 2025.